saga. Joe Holloman is going to join us from the Post-Dispatch, and we're going to have a real fun opening dialogue. I can assure you of that. Good to be with you, Joe. How are you today?
Very good to be with you. And I was remiss yesterday. I wasn't paying attention like I should have, and this is going to make you wildly uncomfortable, but I know our listeners who know and love you will want to know that you won an Emmy Award over the weekend for the best sports anchor, which is a big deal. It's great to win them for individual stories and things like that, but those best sports anchors are hard to come by, and it's a real testament to your work and your team's work, and I want to congratulate you. And I hope on the Royal Banks Missouri text line, 84126, if you want to send some congratulations. I'm wondering, does this make it an even 25?
No comment.
No, seriously, is it, or is it more than that?
No comment. But I will say this. We did have Italian judges this year. So
Yeah. Ha ha ha. Sorry, you've already used that joke, so you just have to say thank you, and it's a cool thing. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I do appreciate that. Thank you. And part of the tape is because I have Tom Stasiak and Randy Schwenker and Corey and Andy, so they make it easy.
Did you go to the award ceremony this year? I didn't think so. Do you think that? Do you think it gives you? Because I know some other people that are pretty superstitious about being there.
I don't go because the last award was announced at 11 o'clock, I think. And then I told you the last time I went was like 10 years ago, and I went 0 for 5. Mm-hmm. And I was in the elevator. Did I tell you this real quick? Yeah. And Brooke called and said to Monique, "Hey, where are you guys at?" We were in the elevator, and she said, "Oh, we're at the Emmys." She could have said we're at dinner. She knows I went 0 for 5, and she knew the next question was going to be from Brooke. Well, did he win? And, she said, "Oh, no, he lost all 5. So
I stopped counting the number of times I was nominated and did not win. I think it was 8 or 9. I mean, I had Susan Lucci had nothing on me. And I won one at the end. I did not go that year. It was the year that I was leaving the station. So I have my one.
Oh, my God. The one year you didn't. Were you already gone from the station?
I was kind of on my way to go. They knew I was going, but I was staying around long enough to get through like sweeps period and stuff. And I had a great exit, by the way. I know in this world of, especially right now with everything going on with Running Knot, there's a lot of rehashing other people that left the industry not on their own terms. And I have nothing but gratitude about my years at Fox 2 and the way I was allowed to do that.
That's really good that you had a good exodus. In fact, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but yeah, that's good. You went on your own terms.
Well, it's a gift, and you can't control it. And there's wonderful people who are way better at this job than I ever was that didn't get that choice due to nothing else other than economics, bad timing, a lot of other cultural climates, a lot of different things. And so I don't take that for granted. I totally get that.
Sometimes I think too is that if I don't win, I just wasted a year. I mean, I know that's really childish and immature. It's probably something about my psycho-competitive nature, which is I'm not proud about at all. But I even told that to Monique. I go, God, it's like all that blood, sweat, and tears. I get nothing, But I know that's completely irrational.
The reason why it's a tough thing to hang your hat on or to give that much value to or worth to it is you and I have both judged at Emmys, and I took it very seriously. But there is certainly a degree of subjectivity.
Exactly. It's a guy in Ames, Iowa, on a dinner break between the 6 and 10, looking at 5 tapes, and And that guy is maybe smart, made of TV, but it is. It's completely subjective. That's why you shouldn't put too much stock in it. So.
Yeah, that is well said. But it is funny what our brain does, right? We don't give ourselves much credit, and it feels good for a second, but you're like, it doesn't really matter anything when you win, and then when you lose, you make it seem like your work is not worthwhile.
There was a famed columnist by the name of Red Smith, and they asked him once, because he could turn a phrase like nobody else. Yeah, he wrote. There's books about his best stuff. And they said, it must be easy for you writing a column. And he says, yeah, I just pop a vein and bleed all over the paper. And that's the way I feel with some of these stories. And they lose. And then every once in a while you do one you put together at 3 o'clock and you aired it at 6 o'clock and that wins. So that's why it's, you shouldn't put much stock in it. So, yeah. All right. What else? Anything else? Connor, what's going on in your life the last 24 hours?
Not much.
How late? How many innings did you get in?
Of course, I didn't stay up for the entire thing. I just kind of got too tired.
What time did you go out?
I
Okay,
left
just
at the
for the
15th
non-sports
inning.
crowds, you guys
We'll
are
get into
talking
this
about
later,
the. Okay.
It was the World Series. It went to 18 innings. McGraw probably could have
18.
just stayed up the entire time and came right into work.
Yeah.
But he said he went to bed in like the 6th inning. So.
what time? What inning you think you went out on? I went out in the 15th.
Yeah, probably right around there, 14, 15. I was just like, you know what? I don't know when this is going to end.
Yeah.
I watched the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. I watched more. You know what? I will say this. I watched more of the football game, mainly fantasy related. But, yeah, I'd love to know. We'll probably know by later on today, TV ratings-wise. I think Monday Night Football may have beaten it.
Really?
Yeah, Game 3 World Series. I mean, they got the L.A. market, but I don't know. Football is just...
Do you think they had the local news people go on after the World Series?
I was going to
At that
text
point?
Martin saying that, I feel so badly for you, sarcastically, because... they may have taped it. In fact, I'll find out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going
me
to text
text him.
Mandy right now. We'll have an answer when we come back right after this break.
Let's talk about a getaway where you're not spending all the time on the road. How about Innsbruck? Think about it. You could go from your desk to a canoe and do some fishing in about 25, 30 minutes. They've got A-frames, they got tree houses, or if you're looking for a place to live that's away from hustle and bustle, custom homes, condos as well. It is absolutely gorgeous. Have you been out? Have you looked? Go to Innsbruck-resort.com to find your getaway.
You know what they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and windows and doors are usually that first impression when it comes to your home. Dalco Home Remodeling custom makes their windows and doors, and better yet, they make them here in Missouri. Dalco Home Remodeling is locally and family owned, celebrating 50 years, so they know a thing or two. The Dalco team is known for quality and customer satisfaction. That's the way it was 50 years ago when they started, and that's still true today. So if you're looking to change the look of your home without breaking the bank, call Dalco Home Remodeling. They do free in-home estimates. Just call 314-298-7300 and make an appointment. You can also check them out online at dalcohomeremodeling.com. As they've always said, if you buy somewhere else and find out how much you could have saved at Dalco, you'll blow your stack. So call Dalco first, 314-298-7300.
Meet me at the Village Bar. Ready for the world's best cheeseburger, homemade onion rings, trashed wings? It's the Village Bar for food and sports. Cards, Blues, Mizzou, NFL, the game's always on. Open 7 days a week in De Pere. Grab your friends, grab a cold beer. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including a lifetime workmanship warranty for total peace of mind. From upgrading an aging roof or completing a full replacement, the team at John Beal Roofing delivers solutions that are built to code, built to last, and handled with expert care. John Beal also responds quickly with reliable storm damage services backed by decades of experience and 24/7 emergency support. Get started today for expert service and a free, no obligation estimate by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. That's 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Mom, what do you always say?
There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer.
That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newsletter's Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS. Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Okay, thought one. Joe Rogan is a fascinating fella. Grew up with an abusive father, won a national title in Taekwondo, stand-up comic, NBC TV show, news radio. UFC commentator, a $200 million deal with Spotify. Like him or not, his popularity is undeniable. 19.7 million followers on Instagram, 19.4 on YouTube, 14.5 million on Spotify. His podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, is consistently ranked in the top 5 or top 10 in the country. Some think, actually, Joe, that his podcast played a big role in how the election went. He sat with Donald Trump for 3 hours, and Vice President Harris declined the invite. He later went public and said he was voting for Trump. Who knows? And a few days ago, though, he actually talked about his faith on the podcast. So I think it'll be intriguing to see if Joe Rogan going public about his faith will have an influence on the country. In 2024, U.S. Bible sales rose 22%. And per the Wall Street Journal, Bible sales surged by 36% in the month of September compared with the same month of 2024 following the shooting of Charlie Kirk. I'll be interested to see if Joe Rogan has an influence in this angle.
Yeah, there's been some great reporting in a lot of major newspapers that there seems to be a resurgence among the younger generation toward turning back to faith, and not just Christianity, in Judaism and the Muslim faith as well. There's people seem to be looking back to some of those traditional faiths for answers in their life. It's interesting. I really got a little bit triggered by this article that just came out because I have noticed, my kids it's been 10 years since my oldest daughter went to college. She's the same age as Connor and graduated from high school back in 2015. So we did the college search process. So that information is 10 years old. And I noticed in that process, you guys, that even 3 years later, it had changed a lot. And one of the things that changed a ton and is even more aggressive now is that colleges went to an early decision process, which that basically says if you tell us that we are going to be your first and only choice when you're applying to our college, we'll give you an early look, or you have an advantage over those who are considering other colleges equally. Now, it's a great thing for the colleges. They charge full freight for those kids, right? They don't have to offer scholarships to those kids because those kids want to go. It tends to be privileged kids who can afford to write, their parents can afford to write a check for $75,000 to $90,000 a year to go there, which is what a lot of the private colleges that are doing early decision and are more more exclusive or challenging to get into. So they did this at Tulane University for the first time. Though they are punishing schools who have students. So if you're a high school student, say you went to, let's say you went to one of the Westminster where your kids went, and you signed on at Tulane to do early decision, and then you end up not taking that early decision. Say you end up not being able to afford it, or you decide there's a better college for you, they will now not take any kids from Westminster at Tulane out of that class. They're punishing the schools because students are backing out of the early decision contracts, they call them. But they're not really binding contracts. They're just an agreement that the students have signed up for. I think it's egregious on the part of these colleges.
Incredible.
And I could not believe it when I saw this in the New York Times this week. The university imposed a 1-year ban on a Colorado college. It's the first, or Colorado high school. It's the first one they've done it for early decision applications because they say it is a commitment to attend.
Wow. That's crazy.
I mean, and I have to say, my youngest daughter, Jane, got into Tulane. It was one of her top 2 or 3 colleges. She did not end up going there. And they gave her a really good scholarship. She had an over half ride scholarship. My other friends whose kids applied to Tulane early tuition, even though they were about the same kind of student as Jane was, got $0. So I never did love the early decision thing. I thought it was a bit of a scam from the get-go, partly because I'm cheap and partly because I just don't like things that give unfair advantage to one party versus the other.
Yeah, the Tulane thing is interesting because when I used to look up like most expensive schools, Tulane would pop up there. They're sneaky expensive. You wouldn't think Tulane up there. You would think, Pepperdine and USC and Ivy League schools. But Tulane is one of the most expensive schools there is.
Yeah, it's up there with SMU, all those schools. And the schools say, well, we had to start charging as much as the most elite universities in the country because that helped us get more elite, because people, as consumers, believe that something is better when you pay more money for it. So we've asked for a lot of this. We asked for these colleges to become more like luxury resorts in some ways than actual universities, and then we complain that they've gotten ridiculously expensive because it's very expensive to have the amenities that they think college kids need. I know. I'm definitely in a little bit of a curmudgeon mode about this.
It's good.
But
Take a stand. I love it. An angry Jill. That's good.
Yes.
No,
Watch
I
out.
think you're 100% right. I love this. I heard a podcast too about people from the Northeast now who would never consider like schools in the South, maybe 20 years ago. Now they're going to SEC schools. Like the line I heard was the only qualification you needed to get into the University of Tennessee was a pulse. And now it's becoming a hotly pursued school. And there's actually, they turn people down now.
Yeah, and there was and that stuff comes and goes in phases. The SEC did a really good job early days of social media, of just making it look kind of special and fun, and people dressed up for football games. And then now there seems to be a move a little bit more toward the north again. Kids they're trendy. They want to go where they think is cool, not necessarily what works best for their future life always.
Thought too, the World Series, they actually played 2 games in Game 3 last night, although tonight is still considered Game 4. And here's how the Fall Classic ended. Only player ever to have multiple walk-off homers in a World Series, the great Freddie Freeman. 6 hours, 39 minutes, second longest. Game 3 of the 2018 World Series was a bit longer. Shohei Ohtani reached base 9 times. He walked 5 times. Never happened. The most times anybody's ever reached base in a World Series game was 6. He shatters it with 9. There were 19 pitchers, including the pride of Parkway Central, Max Scherzer. But I got to tell you, when I was watching some morning programs and them describing it as like the best World Series game ever played, please, come on. It's Game 6, Cardinals and Rangers. The Cardinals came back from 2-run deficits in both the 9th and 10th innings. They were 1 strike away from losing in both innings. A wonderful night of baseball, but have a sense of history. It's not the best World Series game ever.
Sorry about that, Connor. That was my fault. I have to say, though, I heard Bob Ramsey say earlier on McGraw's show, he did stay up for the whole thing to the bitter end, and he said it was really, really good baseball.
Oh, it was great. It was great, but not like this.
Okay, well, I thought this was hilarious this morning.
Of course, Bob stayed up late. He's the best.
Yeah, he is, and he loves baseball for sure. Almost
more than anything. And he loves it more than basketball.
Oh, really? I was going to say, he sounded pretty excited about the fact that the basketball season is about ready to start.
I don't know where Jen fits in that equation. I think she's first, but you never know.
I bet she is. We can't malign our colleagues without them having the ability to stand up for themselves. I thought it was hilarious, and of course this tracks and shows you what a serious baseball fan I am when the Cardinals aren't involved, that the commentators got pretty worried about one other member of the baseball team last night. No backup organist. That guy definitely earned whatever he made last night for sure. And then earlier, Frank, you wondered about the Fox 2 news team last night, whether they stayed up and did a newscast at 2:30 in the morning. And I got a text from Mandy. She said their cutoff was 12:30. If the game went after 12:30, they didn't have to do a newscast, but they could not go home until then. But they never did get on the air. So they, of course, planned the newscast. We're all set to go, waited till 12:30, and then went home. And she's, as always, a consummate professional, kind of used to this every year since they have the World Series. But she said, "We do it again tonight!" !
Yeah. Martin said once he got to 12:10, I was rooting for an extra inning or two so I could have the snow day. We all feel the same way.
I was going to say,
we love the snow day.
You have to admit on a day when the weather looks like it's going to take over your sportscast, there's an extra spring in your step on those days.
Yeah. But the problem now is with sporting events at Channel 5, we do the we do a show that's online.
Yes, for the millions of people that tune in for that.
Yes.
Is it really a snow day if you still have to stick around until 12:30 and then get to go home?
No, that's not.
That's not really a snow day.
Well
but
said.
when they tell you like at 3 o'clock, hey, no way we can have sports today. The snow. Okay, great. All right. Let's see. Thought 3. So Coach Drinkwitz is now the betting line favorite to get the Florida job. Yes, there is actually odds out, and he has the best odds of getting the University of Florida job. Clay Travis had an interesting suggestion because LSU is the better job. They should offer Nick Saban 4 years, $25 million per year, and just take a shot. But I like the concept a lot. But why would a 73-year-old man who's already the GOAT and went out on his own terms want that grind again? The difference between he and Bill Belichick is Belichick was kicked to the curb. As Jill and I were discussing earlier, endings in life and careers are just so brutal because you don't get a redo. And if you live 15 more years, you still have that sour taste in your mouth. Even if you've had a pretty fine career, that's the way it ended. I've said it before. I've seen Channel 5, very accomplished news anchors, be walked out the door with a security guard and a box. Man, that's what's scary to me. Okay, another quickie. The Last Frontier, watched episode 4 last night. We are caught up. Now I have to wait until Friday for the next one to be released. On to my ranking of the top 3. Last Frontier now moves to number 1. Task is number 2. And Black Rabbit is 3. Interesting in those rankings. It's the way I've watched them too. And finally, of all the things we are expecting in St. Louis, the Blues being 30th out of 32 teams was like the least likely. And the scary thing is your best 2 players are hurt and your goalies have lost their mojo. 19 goals allowed in 3 games. In fact, I just saw Ryan Raphael when he was walking out of here. He just looked at me, what's going on? And I knew exactly what he was talking about. It's rough.
And do you think it's just a matter of getting in sync?
Well, look, you're losing 2 really good players. That really hurts. And then when your goalie loses some confidence, it's tough for a coach to say, hey, you can do it, you can do it. I mean, this is not going to be an easy out. I still think there's no time to really, really panic. We're 9 games in. I hope I'm not saying this tomorrow. Well, we're only 10 games in. It's rough. It's brutal.
Being a small business owner is one of those things that there's just so many aspects to it that those of us who are the consumers of the business don't always have to think about. And I've had a couple conversations, everybody from my hairdresser to other people, just about how it can be kind of rough right now in small business. A lot of the expenses are just unexpected. Things like, I didn't think about this, but I mean, when you're a business owner, a 4 or 5% raise in things like the electricity really has an impact, especially if you have electric heat, like one of the people I talked to. And so I was like, what are we really looking at for the rest of us when it comes to those winter utility bills? We've, of course, heard a lot about the potential for our health insurance, some people's health insurance to be going up based on where we are right now with the stalemate in Congress. But here's the latest, according to those who track winter heating bills. Electricity users are going to face a bump. If you are somebody who has an electric heated home, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, you're going to look at about a 4 or 5% raise this year over last year, driven in part by surging demand for, of course, in St. Louis, this is a hot topic, data centers and other industries. On the flip side, those of us who have homes heated by natural gas are likely to pay roughly The same around as last winter. Propane and heating oil users might even see a flat or a tiny little decrease. Do you pay attention to your heating and cooling bills? Do you adjust the thermostat based on if we're in a cold snap? Do you let it be a little cooler in home and grab an extra sweater because you don't want a much higher bill? Or same thing if it's really hot in the summer? Or do you just kind of deal with it as it goes up and down?
Probably Monique's in charge, but I think she's conscious of that. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. How about you, Connor? Do you adjust the thermostat based on if it make it a little bit more uncomfortable for yourself to try to keep the bill more steady?
No. Well, I think it balances out for me in the end, just because in the summer I will run more AC because I just don't like it to be overly hot. But in the winter, I don't mind as much about it being cool, so the heat doesn't run as much.
Yes.
So I think I haven't done the math. I think I kind of balance out at the end.
I didn't realize this about myself, but then other people that come to my home have pointed out, like I am like a grandma who lived through the Depression, and I'm not afraid to put on an extra pair of socks and a sweater to try to stay comfortable, and rather than have.
I mean, you've got blankets in the house,
I've
right?
got blankets.
Can't you get a blanket?
I've got, why do you think they make earmuffs, people? Put some gloves on and enjoy your time at my house.
We are putting the heating blanket on tonight. That's one of the great things in life, I think.
Yeah. Do you turn it? Are you one that likes to get in the cold bed and then feel it warm up, or do you turn it on ahead of time so you get in the warm?
Yeah. There's nothing better. You get when it's already warm and you got Reg right next to you. Oh my God.
We do not have a heating blanket, but one best experiences I think of our lives is when we were on exactly a year ago. We had the trip of our lifetime. I did the Kilimanjaro climb, and then John came and joined me, and we got to do a safari. Incredible, amazing. Everything was perfect. When we got to the mountain part of the safari, we were staying in tents. It was cold at night, and of course it had been very cold during the nights on Kilimanjaro. It was in the 20s, and we had no heating, obviously. Then it was just our sleeping bags. But they would put boiling water in our hot water bottles at night and bring those to us, and you could kind of, I would ask the guy, I got to be friends with him, and he would make me 2 of them, one for my feet and one that I could wrap around my arms. And then on the safari, when we came in at night, they would put hot water bottles. Remember those, the rubber ones that you used, your mom gave you when you had a sore back, and they put those in our beds. And we decided that there was perhaps no greater pleasure than coming into a cold tent at night in a cold bed than having a hot water bottle down by our feet.
Wow. All right, should we break?
Yeah,
we'll
we
take
should.
a short time out. When we come back, he's the provocative attorney, Chet Pleben. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now, KTRS weather.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Some wet weather on the way late Tuesday night, and into Wednesday. 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, so it's going to be a good soaker. We'll start off mainly dry Tuesday, partly to mostly cloudy, low 50. An isolated shower may develop in the late morning to early afternoon, but the steadier rain is more late afternoon and evening Tuesday. A high of 59 degrees, and then it becomes a wet evening and a wet night. Low 49 into Wednesday morning. Rainy all Wednesday morning and even into the early part of the afternoon before the rain tapers off for a dry one late day and evening Wednesday. High of 54 degrees for a cool day Wednesday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
My friends at Neighbors Credit Union are rolling out a new account. The new Debit All Day account is designed for the way you pay today. Debit All Day is a checkless checking account featuring a Neighbors Visa debit card, the convenience of online and mobile banking, and access to your direct deposits up to 2 days early. If you're looking for a no-fuss account to make managing your money simple, safe from overdrafts, and free of fees, Debit All Day is for you. Open your Neighbors Credit Union Debit All Day account online today at neighborscu.org.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts, it's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things, people, love.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
From the same guys who brought you the watering bowl, say hello to the number 2 crew. The number 2 crew will visit your yard once a week in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, or St. Charles County, and they'll take care of your dog's business. Think of the number 2 crew as your yard's best friend. 314-717-8880 or the number2crew.com. The number 2 crew reporting for duty each and every week in your backyard. The number 2 crew or the number2crew.com.
Every January, the gyms are full and the resolutions are big, but by February, most people have already given up. That's why Premier U helps people flip the script. Don't wait for January. Fall is the perfect time to start a weight loss journey. Premier U's personalized programs use today's most effective weight loss medications paired with expert support. Why wait to start fresh? Call Premier U today or visit premierumed.com to get started. Your future self will thank you.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
Reese Nichols, the most trusted Missouri brokerage, is now proudly serving St. Louis. They're going to be celebrating with a ribbon cutting and a grand opening at their Chesterfield office on Wednesday, November 5th from 3 to 6. And the afternoon show, the Big 550 KTRS, will be there for the party. Reese Nichols is a Missouri-born company established 125 years ago and is proudly serving St. Louis buyers and St. Louis sellers with everything they need, including title and insurance to make your move seamless. To learn more, reesenichols.com.
And welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. We wanted to get the most provocative, eloquent attorney we possibly could. Joel Schwartz was unavailable, so we have Chet Pleben with us. Chet, good to be with you. How are you, sir?
Always a throw. Hey, I was just wondering, why isn't this the Jill and Frank show?
Oh, careful.
Think about that.
It may be that tomorrow now that you've brought this up. All right, we got a lot to talk about. So this is an interesting day because this is the day the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals will rule on the issue of allowing the National Guard to go into Portland. Your take?
Yes, this is a very serious issue, and it's going to have extended consequences. The backdrop is that this president wants to have the ability to deploy military troops on American streets. So customarily, those type of police powers were reserved for the states, absent some kind of extraordinary circumstances. What the states would say is, look, we have police agencies, and we can handle these issues. When issues get out of control, we may need some federal help. But until that time, kind of stay put, stay where you are. And the Congress back in 1878 recognized that when they passed the Posse Comitatus Act. That act prohibits the use of military for domestic law enforcement. Now, there are, however, exceptions to that. One is, for example, an insurrection. One is possibly domestic violence that gets out of control, and guarding federal property. Now, the National Guard isn't subject to that act unless it's federalized. So what Trump is doing is he's federalizing the National Guard and sending not only the National Guard for that particular state into various cities, but he's also using National Guard from other states, saying, well, I can send those people in where I need them. So this started with Illinois, and he wanted to send the National Guard. He claimed that Chicago was a war zone and wanted to send the National Guard in to guard federal property and ICE agents. Obviously, Pritzker opposed that, filed suit, said, no, we don't want you here. You can't come here. We are not a war zone. We can handle our own issues as it relates to law enforcement protections. The court agreed with Pritzker, deprived the president of sending the National Guard in. He quickly appealed to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals agreed with him and continued to restrain Trump from sending troops to Chicago. Meanwhile, in Portland, the president again decided, well, Portland needs some federal protection, and we need to protect federal property in Portland. And so he attempted to send federal troops similar to Chicago into Portland. The lower court again restrained him from doing that. Immediately, he appealed. Now, conversely, different from what the Seventh Circuit did, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, in a 2-1 decision, said no. He wants to protect a federal building. That's a measured response. He was going to send 200 guardsmen into the city of Portland. It's a minimal number to restore order around a federal building. He was going to limit it, I think, to 60 days. So they said in a 2-1 decision, no, that's okay. Let him do that. There was a dissent because it was a 2-1 decision from a judge, Susan Graber, and she categorized that as nothing more than political theater, that it was drama designed to rally Trump's base or rile and intimidate his political opponents. Interestingly enough, in both Portland as well as Chicago, those were Democratic bases. And so this dissenter said, we need facts and circumstances, and we can't go based upon supposition and conjecture that the city of Portland needs help. And apparently in the lower court, there was not a sufficient amount of evidence presented to, at least by way of this particular dissenting judge, to say that no, his ability to send the guardsmen in was factually supported. So now you have a split. So what happened in the Ninth Circuit was a judge decided, stop the music on the 2-1 decision. We're going to delay that. We're going to hold that in abeyance. And what we want to do is we want to have the whole court take a look at this, the whole court in the Ninth Circuit. And that consists of 29 judges. And the question is that they will decide today is whether or not those 29 judges will review this situation and pick 11 other judges to basically relook at the whole situation and whether or not they should set aside that 2-1 decision and whether they should continue to prevent the troops from going into Portland.
So if it goes to the Supreme Court, if it goes to the Supreme Court, wouldn't it be in Trump's favor because there's 6 that kind of lean towards the right or far to the right?
Well, and that's an interesting question because here are the critically important issues. One way in which I might frame this is this a bid for is it an unprecedented power grab, or is there a legitimate use of the military in cities that said they don't want any federal military help there? And who decides the question of whether or not this is an emergency sufficient to have an exception to the Posse Comitatus Act? And so the two really critical questions that the United States Supreme Court is going to have to decide is, one, the scope of presidential power to federalize and deploy National Guard troops, and secondly, whether a president's decision that such a move is merited is effectively unreviewable by the courts. In other words, if the president says, well, there's an emergency here, and I'm going to send federal troops there because I have deemed that to be an emergency, is there no review? of that? In other words, are we excluding entirely the court system? And so the conundrum, frankly, that places the Supreme Court in is, do they want to give up the power of judicial review?
Wow.
I mean, and secondly, where does that put us? So the next time, let's say hypothetically we have midterm elections, and he wants to make sure that the Republicans stay in power, both the House and the Senate. And so he decides, well, we have an emergency, so I'm going to send federal troops to monitor, basically, these election sites, these polling places. So is there no review to that? And where, I mean, how much power can you give one president? So I think that the decision of the United States Supreme Court, albeit, and I agree with you, the majority, it's a conservative majority that 9 times out of 10 will vote for him and vote his way. And you should give some deference to the presidents. No question about that. But on the other hand, when we're looking at some of these things, I mean, this guy is blowing up boats in international waters, and 40 plus people have been killed. Now, I don't know whether or not he says, well, these are drug traffickers. Frank, Jill, I don't know whether they're drug traffickers or they're not. And I don't know what kind of probable cause he had to go ahead and to blow them up, to basically murder 40 plus people. And now he says, well, we don't need a declaration of war from Congress. We're just going to go ahead and kill people that bring drugs into this country, kill them dead. Now, that's not how due process is supposed to work. That's not how the rule of law is supposed to work.
Chad, in our last 30 seconds here it sounds like we all should be watching what happens with the Ninth Circuit, because there is some big implications or ramifications here. But is what happens with the Ninth Circuit actually going to affect the president's ability to take the action he says is necessary? Others are questioning off, for instance, the coast of Venezuela. Or are those two separate issues before we let you go?
I think those are two separate issues, and ultimately, what that's going to be determinative of is whether or not the United States Supreme Court ultimately decides both the Portland issue and the issue with respect to Chicago. Whether the Ninth Circuit decides to reverse the 2-1 decision that the Court of Appeals entered. Is ultimately going to be decided, in my opinion, ultimately going to be decided by the United States Supreme Court. And certainly it is that the impact of that and his presidential power is going to impact, Venezuela. It's going to impact, the votes. It's going to impact a lot of things. That's why I think it's a precedent-setting decision, this whole question of emergency power, who decides it, presidential power.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
We do have just 60 seconds left. Your takeaway from the NBA gambling thing, let me give you a quick take. FanDuel, these betting things, if they're not around and they're not acknowledging how many people are betting on some odd prop bet like on Jonte Porter, some obscure player, and they don't see like this huge shift, maybe this goes unnoticed. But because FanDuel has all these prop bets and the other betting sites, this is bringing more attention to it. So in a weird way, it actually may help.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this was kind of crazy. I mean, and there are two cases, as you know. One involves insider information, and the second one is rigged high stakes poker games that high stakes gamblers want to, I guess, gamble with NBA president and former stars. I don't know. It just blows my mind, Frank, that these guys are are multimillionaires. You know, the three Chauncey Billups, the Portal Trailblazers, Rozier, and
Damon Jones.
And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about Jones, but you know, they make tons of money, and this thing went on since 2019 is what I read. 7.15 million. That's on the second case. That's on, you know, these guys going over there to bet, and it was rigged. 7.15 million they took from these high rollers. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. And then you get in bed, you know, with organized crime. That's never a good thing. So I don't know. I mean, I think all of it needs to be looked at, generally speaking. Well, also what the NBA is doing. I mean, is the NBA controlling this stuff too? And, you know, every time I turn on a new sports event, you know, I see, well, you can bet here and you can bet there, you can bet the other thing. Okay, well, you know, things like this happen, you know, human nature, I suppose.
Great stuff. We really appreciate your time. We'll talk soon. Thank you, sir.
You bet. You bet.
All right, Chet Pleban joining us.
Miller Furniture, fourth generation family-owned business, flagship location, of course, in Belleville, Illinois, with other locations in the St. Louis area. Why do I love it so much? Because the people that work there love their job. They love having people take home pieces of furniture that they are going to enjoy, that they're going to work really well in their family life and for the purposes of their home, and they are absolutely gorgeous. They are one of the biggest retailers of Amish-made furniture, certainly in our area and really around the country, and it's the reason why they have been recognized nationally, not just in our area, for being excellent at what they do. If you are saying, you know, I haven't shopped for a couch in 10 plus years, you're missing out. There's all kinds of new features and functions. Same thing with lounge chairs, with those recliners. There's a lot of stuff out there that if you haven't looked for a while, improvements have been made. It used to be you sometimes had to choose between something that looks great and something that is incredibly comfortable. You don't have to worry about those decisions anymore. The advances in design and in function are there as long as you are using the quality furniture makers, and that's all that you get at our friends at Miller Furniture, and they do it with great prices as well. MillerFurniture.com, MUELLER Furniture.com, or visit one of their 4 locations, including Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, Belleville, and in Ellisville as well.
Recently, a good friend of mine was changing the light fixture in their kitchen, and they took the light fixture off the ceiling, and they looked inside the ceiling and said, what is the phone number to Michael Baldy? If they would have listened to me, they would have put Michael Baldy's phone number in their phone, because everybody needs a good electrician on speed dial. So here you go. The next time you need an electrician, you need to remember Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. So the phone number, 314-968-9999. Indoor, outdoor, an old Victorian home, knob and tube wiring, and anything and everything in between. You see, Michael Baldy is a licensed electrician, and he has a team ready to go. Whether it's something for the ceiling in the kitchen, something for the lights for the holidays, whatever it may be, Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. BaldyElectric.com, 314-968-9999, because everybody needs a good electrician on speed dial. BaldyElectric.com.
Zero is your hero at HW Kia. Zero down, zero payments for 90 days, or 0% for 48 months. Even zero tariff pricing on every clearly marked new HW Kia in stock. Stuck in your loan or lease? Big D, the trade man, wants to get you released. Up to 120% over fair market value for your trade. Have a job clearing $450 a week? You're practically approved. Only at HWKia.com. Unapproved credit not all qualify. Plus tax, title, license, 587, title, and registration processing fee. Negative equity refinance to new loan. Expires September 6, 2025. Zero is your hero at HW Kia. Zero down, zero payments for 90 days, or 0% for 48 months. Even zero tariff pricing on every clearly marked new HW Kia in stock. Have a job clearing $450 a week? You're practically approved. Lease a new Seltos S, Nero LX, or Soul, just $99 a month. And you guessed it, zero security deposit. Only at HWKia.com. Unapproved credit not all qualify. Plus tax, title, license, 587, title, and registration processing fee. Negative equity refinance to new loan. 24 months, 10,000 mile lease. $49.95 due. Offers not a combination. Expires September 6, 2025.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
All right, welcome back. Joe Holloman coming up in a couple of minutes. A lot of people responding to what Chet Pleben said. Portland is a mess. They have Antifa gangs living in unwanted camps all over Portland. Some are blocking main streets. What's the difference in when they sent the National Guard to Ferguson? Yeah, I'd like to ask him that. Now, here's a great thought. The Supreme Court is supposed to be impartial. It shouldn't matter what part the justices belong to. They should interpret the law by the letter of the Constitution. Most of the conservative justices proclaim themselves to be constitutional, so they should properly interpret the Constitution. They should not show any favoritism towards any political part. It's a good point.
I think so too. I wonder if our friend Greg Willard wrote that, because that's what he's been saying for a long time. We should not be looking at everything through that lens of politics, for sure. Although there is some interesting stuff taking place locally that you guys are going to know about from Joe Holloman, and we have a really good second hour of the Frank and Jill show coming up. So make sure you stick with it for that. And a couple people coming into Frank on this drug cartel issue. We'll get to those texts after the news.
For a limited time, Altair Travel is teaming up with Celebrity Cruises and offering a $200 onboard credit for any new Celebrity 7-night or longer stay in a veranda or above. Celebrity Cruises features 14 award-winning ships with more than 300 destinations on all 7 continents. Offers good through September 30th, and you must sail before June 1st, 2026. Call Altair Travel and Cruises, 314-968-9600, or online at altairtravel.com.
If you're looking for your next home, think of First Community. Our Smart Choice Home Loan offers a 30-year fixed rate of just 6.531% APR to qualified borrowers, and you only need a down payment of 10%. Whether it's your first home, your forever home, or even a vacation home, be smart with a Smart Choice loan from First Community for all your savings and all your loans. Must qualify for membership. For terms and conditions, call toll-free 1-888-642-7969. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Big 550.
KTRS, St.
Melissa
Louis.
is barreling toward Jamaica with wind speeds of 185 miles per hour. The eye wall expected to reach Jamaica's coast with landfall expected in the next few hours near Crawford. ABC meteorologist Kenton Joacki says the massive system poses a threat to the island and region with extreme winds and rainfall.
This is one of the strongest storms we've ever seen in the Atlantic. Again, the strongest of the year over the Earth, but still just in general in all of our history of satellite data, the strongest in the Atlantic really means something. And Jamaica is really going to be devastated today, unfortunately, by this, especially that western half of the island.
Officials warning everyone in Jamaica to take the storm seriously and seek shelter. It is day 28 of the government shutdown. The Senate voting on another round of clean funding measure that it's not expected to pass, though. More than 40 million Americans who rely on food assistance from the federal programs could be shut out, with funding benefits set to run out at the end of this month. Here's ABC's Jay O'Brien.
48 states now warning if the shutdown continues by the end of the week, they'll be forced to stop distributing SNAP food assistance, a lifeline for some 42 million low-income Americans. Simone Wilkes, a single mom of 2 young boys in Michigan, telling me she's worried about what that means for her family.
I'm already struggling. I'm already stretching food.
Food banks across the country now seeing a surge of demand.
Missouri Senator Josh Hawley introduced a standalone bill that would fund SNAP during the shutdown. President Trump, on a second stop of his Asia tour, met with Japan's Prime Minister today, both countries forging a framework agreement aimed at shrinking China's lead of those rare earth minerals. It comes ahead of President Trump's meeting with China's leader, later this week. Amazon announcing it's slashing 14,000 jobs, most of them corporate. The e-commerce giant says due to advancements in AI, which is phasing out those positions. You're listening to ABC News.
Hey, Doc, nice office. Quick question. If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
Run payroll, no question.
Seriously? Well, have you run payroll before?
Paying my team with Gusto couldn't be easier. Gusto gives me unlimited payroll runs, next day direct deposits, and automatically files my taxes. Saves me time.
Wow, that's nice.
Over here, Doc. Can I run payroll too?
Choose payroll without the pain. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
54 degrees at 11:03 with KTRS News. I'm Steve Potter. Roman Chavez Rodriguez pleaded guilty today in the death of St. Louis police officer David Lee. Lee was working a traffic accident on I-70 near Adelaide when he was struck by a car in September of 2024. Chavez Rodriguez was charged with driving while intoxicated and exceeding the posted speed limit. A sentencing date has not yet been announced. Police report that multiple firearms were stolen during a burglary at Crown Guns on South Old Highway 94 in St. Charles this morning. An investigation is ongoing. According to MoDOT, more than 660 people have been killed on Missouri roads this year. MoDOT reports that this number is nearly identical to the same period last year, with concerns that the total could match or exceed previous years if current trends continue. Meanwhile, police in Jefferson County are stepping up patrols in a construction zone along I-55 in response to a fatal accident. The Pevely and Herculaneum police departments are dubbing this effort Operation Breakpoint. It will focus on the 8-mile stretch of construction along I-55 between Pevely and Herculaneum. Last month, 4 people were killed in a multi-vehicle crash along that stretch. And the Illinois Department of Transportation will hold a public meeting tomorrow to discuss a study for the proposed improvements on Illinois 13 from 157 to South 23rd Street in St. Clair County. A recent operation with the Metro East Crime Task Force is reporting a successful outcome.
The Cross River Crime Task Force conducted a deployment last Thursday. It was comprised of officers and deputies with multiple agencies within Madison County, troopers from Illinois State Police, and agents from federal law enforcement partners. The task force reports it seized quantities of suspected illegal drugs, such as methamphetamine and fentanyl. The unit also arrested multiple fugitives who had criminal charges of aggravated unlawful use of weapons, unlawful possession of methamphetamine with intent to deliver, and several theft-related warrants. The Cross River Crime Task Force was launched back in 2021 to combat cross-jurisdictional crime and enhance public safety in Madison County. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
And Southern Illinois University in Edwardsville is launching a film and TV workforce training program to support the state's growing film and television industry. The program offers paid, hands-on training at the school's newly renovated TV studio. The program is open to Illinois residents 18 years and older and will begin in March of 2026. This KTRS Business Minute brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Innovators within the Cortex District will be celebrated today. We Are Cortex is holding the event to showcase scientists, engineers, app developers, and food entrepreneurs. Now a look at the markets, brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune into Straight Talk on Retirement Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. The Dow up 169 points at 47,713. NASDAQ up 80 at 23,718. And the S&P 500 up 2 at 6,877. In sports, former St. Louis City SC sporting director Lutz Fahrenstiel has landed at Aberdeen FC of the Scottish Premiership in the same role. He was fired by City back in July. Our forecast is calling for a 30% chance for rain this afternoon, a high near 58, a 100% chance for rain tonight and tomorrow, an overnight low tonight in the upper 40s, tomorrow's high around 54. At 7 minutes past 11 o'clock, cloudy, 54 degrees at the Gold Tower at Westport. Steve Potter, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
All right, welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. On Tuesdays at 11, we chat with Joe Holloman from the Post-Dispatch. Joe, good to be with you. We are asking a question in-house. We'll ask it on the air now. Of the two events that were on last night, the World Series or the Kansas City Chiefs, what did you find yourself watching more of, or the Blues?
The World Series, my God. It's the World Series. I'm a baseball fan, first and foremost.
How many innings?
It's 18.
You watched all 18?
Wow.
I did.
Good for you.
I did. So you're getting a much fatigued Joe Holloman today. No, I watch every World Series. Baseball will always be my favorite sport.
Right.
Hockey, I had recorded and was going to watch that when the game started getting late, I thought, well, do I save this? So I ended up checking the score, and my God, I've watched most every Blues game this year, and that's not fun viewing here as of late. So I watched all 18 innings of the baseball. I would switch over at commercials to see what was going on in the football game. But unlike, apparently, this obligation that some people want to put on us in St. Louis that we have to root for the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't.
Same here.
So I don't care about Kansas City. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm glad that they're doing well as a city, but I don't care about the Royals. I don't root for them. I don't root for the Chiefs. So playing Washington, I mean, I'm a Packers fan, so I don't care. But that series game last night was just ridiculously good, just amazing.
All right, let's hit a couple of topics in your column today. So it's Wesley Bell leading the troops against Pete Hegseth's shaving rule. And I don't know, look, I think uniforms are fine. There's something to them. But, boy, if a guy wants to grow a beard and he's serving our country, I think he should be allowed to do it. What about the opposition? How passionate is the opposition against Hegseth's shaving rule?
Well, there's 39 people who have signed on to this, a fair number of them being people of color, which this is a problem that is much more prevalent among black men for shaving. It's called PFB, and I'm not even going to try to butcher the scientific name for it, but it causes bumps and irritations on the skin. And so for years what they've done, as they have in all military, allowed for, which I think is reasonable, neatly trimmed beards. So, people aren't looking like pioneers out there, like baseball players, with these Jason Worth beards hanging down. But if you had a neatly trimmed beard or mustache, I think the neat appearance is certainly something that is appropriate to say if you're going to wear the country's uniform, look trim and clean and sharp, if you will. So, I mean, I see where the problem is. The other thing, what they're doing, and it remains to be seen because can't peer into the soul of Pete Hegseth, they're saying that this is a policy that would adversely affect black men over and Hispanics more than it would, let's say, white people, white men, because they are much more prevalent to get this affliction, this PFB. So I found it just an interesting subject, not being one who's ever had that concern one way or the other, just a dislike for shaving, which is why I have a beard. I just found it to be interesting. So I don't know where it's going to go, with this. I think some of the points that the letter made, whereas this is different than we got to get rid of these people who are 40 pounds overweight. I think they're, when you're talking about an army, the idea for you to be physically fit is a darn good idea. That's what we're kind of depending on.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you have a beard or a mustache, I'm not sure what the the gravitas of that is. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126 on that as well. A couple of pieces since we talked to you last. You've reported on Senator Josh Hawley, again, in line with what we've talked about multiple times now, really moving toward a more populist way of thinking. One, he has filed a bill to restore funding for low-income food assistance during the shutdown. And two, he's pushing ahead with a bill aimed at helping new labor unions. Say more.
I'm sorry. I've written about the labor union one when he introduced the bill. You know, it's one thing to introduce a bill. People throw bills in a hopper, and a lot of times you put them in there just to show the folks back home you're doing something. But Josh Hawley sort of spearheaded getting an actual hearing in front of a Senate committee on health and labor, and introduced, which means you're kind of the best friend of at that hearing, Sean O'Brien, who's the head of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, as we all know, a very large and powerful union when it comes to politics, and introduced him to a hearing on a bill that would basically force a company, the management, to when a group of employees form a union, one tactic that companies have used is simply not negotiate with that union. You know, so the members vote, we're going to, get certified. We are now a bona fide, union local 500 of whatever. And the company just doesn't negotiate with you. And so it takes them forever to get first contracts, which kind of wears on your membership. The membership forms this union. They think we're going to negotiate with the company. We'll reach some sort of agreement. And then the company simply doesn't negotiate. And then O'Brien was telling the hearing that right now it's over 400 days for a new union to get a contract. So this would be a bill that would basically force them to start negotiations within 30 days of the formation of a union. Then I believe it's if nothing is reached after 90 days, it's submitted to arbitration. So it kind of quickens the pace of getting that first contract. And from one who's negotiated contracts for the union we have at the Post-Dispatch, a first contract, it's easy to get a second contract because you've already done a lot of the groundwork on things that nobody disagrees about, and you can get down to the meat of the issue. So this would be something that labor looks at as a very pro-labor proposition, which is something that, one, is not identified very much with the Republican Party, a pro-labor bill, and also that Hawley, who at one time, before he became a U.S. Senator, was for the right-to-work law, which unions, of course, very much hated. He has done a change, whether it's philosophical, political, or both, seems to now being embracing the union movement, if you will, which he is now saying is a way to keep good-paying jobs in the United States. You know, as far as the SNAP thing, it's interesting because that has sort of gotten legs. It's come down, and all of this is done under the umbrella of political gamesmanship on both sides. We have this shutdown, and they're trying very hard to, Democrats trying to blame Republicans, Republicans blaming the Democrats. And so when the Democrats brought up, well, you know, this is denying SNAP payments, which is basically food stamps for children. And so Hawley in the Senate, and also, and I forget the congressman, proposed in the House a bill that says, okay, you know what? Let's do emergency funding for SNAP. Let's pull out that funding. If the government shuts down, SNAP's still going to get it. Let's vote on that. If the Democrats still hold their position, which is we're not going to okay anything unless you renegotiate Obamacare subsidies, we'll see. I mean, but it's obviously the Republicans saying, okay, here you go. Here's a chance for you to vote to feed those kids that you're complaining about. So here's your chance. And if they turn that down, you can darn well bet that the Republicans will come around and say, you had a chance to feed the kids and you passed on it, so shut up about it. So very much political gamesmanship with a very important chip, if you will, in play at this time.
Okay, so Josh Hawley, once again, is reaching across the aisle, and as you have discussed in the past, he probably has a bigger job in mind. He's 45. J.D. Vance will likely be the Republican nominee, although a lot can happen. If this administration, it doesn't work out, then he would be out. But I imagine if Josh Hawley's, his strategy would be that if it is Vance in 2028 and he loses, then the thing is wide open and he is only 45. I mean, you do believe that's what he has in mind, in the back of his mind at least?
It's certainly a possibility. I think we have to look at it as a possibility in the sense that what Hawley is doing, and we've talked about this before, and as you point out right now, Hawley has been on Trump's side, but not so much that he's disagreed with him on a couple of issues. And I think what he's doing is making that distance between Vance and himself, because I agree with you completely that if this administration finishes off its next 2.5 years in a moderately 3 years in a moderately successful fashion, that J.D. Vance is the prohibitive favorite. You're the vice president, like Mondale with Carter. You're gonna get that shot. So there's going to be enough movement that J.D. Vance is going to be the presidential candidate. If he wins, well, then it's President Vance. If he doesn't, as you very well pointed out, there's a candidate then who's maybe 50 years old at the time in Josh Hawley, who will have, who could run again. Absolutely. I think that's quite a possibility. He doesn't seem to be, but nor does Eric Schmidt seem to be going for a place in the cabinet. Though I certainly think Hawley's not. He's disagreed with Donald Trump's folks enough on several issues that I think he's looking to make his own path. And I think you laid it out very well as I'm Trump loyal to a point, and then I'm my own Republican.
Speaking of, you bring up Eric Schmidt, I thought it was very interesting, and I'd love your take on this, Joe, because we had this, Governor Parson, I think, was the first person to have a press conference and announce we're getting this North St. Louis factory, and it's going to be great, battery factory here, it's going to create jobs. And then President Trump is saying, no, we're going to actually cut funding for this, and Wesley Bell and others wailing and gnashing teeth. And even Governor Kehoe saying, now, wait a second, we need to take a second look at this. This is really important for the St. Louis region. Eric Schmidt said, no. The reason that it ended up so far on the cutting block is because this project didn't end up delivering what it was originally supposed to do. What's your take on this?
Well, again, under the guise of political gamesmanship, every politician of both parties always wants to bring jobs to whatever district they represent.
Sure.
It was one of the things that the jobs and the money, and it's what hurt Cori Bush 2 years ago. For all the other things, it was basically, did you bring money to the district? And no, you voted against the infrastructure bill. That's what really hurt as much as anything. So I think what's going to happen is I do believe in here you have Senator Schmidt trying to explain away, if you will, Trump's move, but you also have Governor Kehoe and Governor Parson saying, look, we need jobs in this area. So, I am not covering it on the point. We have other reporters at our paper who are covering the battery factory, but I think they're trying to look into the negotiations, to see what can possibly be saved here. Now, the idea that a proposal had an inflated number of jobs, that kind of goes without saying in Washington. Everything's going to provide 1 million jobs and $1 billion. It's sort of like old VP Fair crowd estimates. The crowd was 20 million people, and so it's always going to be 10,000 jobs, and it ends up being 3,200. So, I think what they're doing now is they're rolling logs and trying to see where this is coming up. And I do think that Senator Schmidt his comments provide an out, if you will, that allows the Trump administration to not look like we're cutting jobs in a Democratic area in North St. Louis, which desperately needs industry. So I think right now it's still all in play as to what's going to happen.
Cori Bush is getting some national money. How would you characterize her chances of beating Wesley Bell?
I think there's it's an uphill battle, always against an incumbent, just like it was for Wesley Bell 2 years ago. The ones that came out to endorse very early Cori Bush, though if they gave money, it wasn't so much that she had to report it on a 24 or 48-hour report. When you get a donation of over $10,000, I believe is the amount, you have to report that immediately. But Justice Democrats is a well-known progressive, call it woke, what have you, organization that is squarely behind the squad, and that's in quotation marks the squad with AOC and Tlaib et al. So there was no surprise in these endorsements. It's no surprise in that Cori Bush is not abandoning the position that she had before of being the candidate for the far left, liberal, woke, progressive, whatever label you want to put on them. The other group is the local Democratic Socialists of America, which is basically a communist friendly organization where they address everybody as comrade on their website. So it's fairly straightforward in the old Communist Party kind of fervor. And Justice Democrats are very liberal. These are not surprise endorsements in any manner or form. Now, the last election, Justice Democrats came up with $2 million to help Cori Bush. Actually, it was 1.4 to help Cori Bush and $600,000 to hurt Wesley Bell, an opposition thing. So I expected Justice Democrats to be in her corner, and I think they're coming out early to try to see if there's any momentum. I think that there are, and I've mentioned it not only here but in other places where I've appeared. I think it's certainly an uphill battle for the fact that I think when you had that election with a 5-point gap, 51% to 46%, when incumbent loses by that, I don't think Cori Bush has done anything since that point to improve her chances, in that her campaign is still showing that she actually is in negative numbers for money. $13,000 in debts owed, $600 short, $700 short in cash on hand. So she technically has no money. And I don't think she hasn't changed anybody's position. And I think what I see, especially when it's like the Justice Democrats or the Democratic Socialists, what you're doing now is basically preaching to the choir. These are the same people who voted for you when you lost 51% to 46%. And when you're a challenger, you've got to go find that group that may be on the fence. And when you look at the first 2 years of Wesley Bell, what he has done is what every freshman legislator has tried to do since 1776 or thereabouts, which is avoid controversy in your first 2 years. Don't do anything wrong. And get your feet on the ground, get your donations set up, get your backers set up, you throw some bills out, you get a little publicity for doing things like, should you have beards in the military? Let's issue a Bill Clay postage stamp. And I don't mean to say that those are things, but you do small things, whereas opposed to the squad and other progressive legislators seem to want to come in and they're in office for 6 months and they want to do things like the unhoused Bill of Rights, and this 10,000-page document. Most people go in and they do little things and they just kind of get their feet on the ground. And I think Wesley Bell has done that. So I would think that certainly Cori Bush would have to be considered by any measurement an underdog going into the race.
Joe, good stuff. We'll talk next week. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
All right, before we go to break, so a quick thought on the Royal Banks Missouri text line 84126. Pete Hegseth has said the goal is to make troops look professional, and he wants the beards off. I don't know. I understand you want to look professional. They should be physically fit. All that's great. But if they're dedicating their lives to protecting our country and they want to grow a beard, I don't have a problem with it. Do you?
No, I don't either. And and again, it's like I think we can't lump all the things together. Being physically fit is a totally different thing than whether you have a degree of neatly maintained facial hair. And so when you start to that somehow if you have facial hair, it means that you don't care about your country or not dedicated as a soldier. I think those are incorrectly correlated with each other. I did think this text was interesting on the Royal Banks Missouri text line. Didn't G.I. Joe have a beard?
You're right. Yeah.
Now, somebody else is pointing out, and I don't know, I haven't fact-checked this, that they thought that traditionally the clean-shaven was partly because of gas mask fitting, but nobody else in any of the reporting on this has said that there's a logistics reason behind it, other than it's just sort of the modern day anyway, that's the reason that they call for it.
And then the other topic that we just brought up with Joe is what you did watch last night. Jill went football, Connor went baseball. I went with all three. I'd love to know where people were last night on the Royal Banks, Missouri text line 84126.
Very good stuff. Oldest, most experienced customer care dealer, American Standard in St. Louis, of course, is our friends at Premier Heating and Cooling. But they don't just service American Standard, which, of course, is one of the gold standards when it comes to providing quality heating and cooling systems for your house. They are extremely, extremely well-trained in servicing all makes and models of air conditioners and furnaces, which, of course, is where we need that this time of year. And it's something that really makes them stand out. You've heard me mention it before, but I really think you need to pay attention to the fact that their technicians at Premier Heating and Cooling have completed a rigorous 5-year training program and participate in continuing education and training. One of the other things that makes them a cut above the rest is they are not just somebody who, services small houses and, kind of does a minimum amount of training to take care of some of the most common problems. They do all kinds of every kind of residential as well as business customers, even very complicated HVAC and heating and cooling system needs. They can handle that, and that's because they are, as their name implies, they are premier when it comes to being training, having the resources within their company, and just caring so much about their customers. PremierHeatingCooling.net, 636-916-1122.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work. They're injected once weekly, and patients see within the first 90 days 10 to 15 pounds down. It simply works, and that's why I recommend it to all of my patients. You simply go online, book an appointment, you fill out a health questionnaire form, you get an appointment on our schedule. It's all telemedicine based. It's all done from your home, and then you meet with me or one of my nurse practitioners, and then after the 10, 15-minute consult, the medication is delivered right to your door discreetly, and you get started right now on your weight loss journey.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watch Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top notch. She doesn't just know the market, she knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or go to laurenrisleyrealty.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset. Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a banner day.
Appliance Discounters has another showroom, this time on Gravois Road, right next to the little Dairy Queen that's been there for ages. This showroom is different. It's packed with name brands, GE, LG, Bosch, that are slightly dinged, one-of-a-kind, or closeout items direct from the manufacturer. They all come with the factory warranties and all the factory rebates. You want huge savings at big discounts, theappliancediscounters.com. To find the one nearest you, including the one on Gravois Road in Afton, theappliancediscounters.com.
The University of Missouri St. Louis is committed to providing top-ranked education. More than 80% of our students receive financial aid. At UMSL, more is what moves us. Find your more and explore your financial aid options at more.umsl.edu.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My Father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
Mizzou football on the Big 550. KTRS is powered by Royal Banks of Missouri.
Touchdown, Missouri!
Catch all the action right here on the Big 550. KTRS.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with the mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
Reese Nichols, the most trusted Missouri brokerage, is now proudly serving St. Louis. They're going to be celebrating with a ribbon cutting and a grand opening at their Chesterfield office on Wednesday, November 5th from 3 to 6. And the afternoon show, the Big 550 KTRS, will be there for the party. Reese Nichols is a Missouri-born company established 125 years ago and is proudly serving St. Louis buyers and St. Louis sellers with everything they need, including title and insurance to make your move seamless. To learn more, reesenichols.com.
The Bomarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory online at bomarito.com.
Want a song? Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Welcome back, everybody. Time check 11:32 on the Frank and Jill Show on a cloudy, gloomy Tuesday morning. Nothing better to brighten your day than maybe to learn something or join in the conversation with us on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, along with Connor McCarthy. I think the most important thing for us to get to here in terms of pertinent issues is pretty interesting what Chet Pleben said about why is it the Frank and Jill Show and not the Jill and Frank Show. We haven't really addressed that yet because he had so much good information. He was just chock full of
what is he now?
Legal.
Just another attorney.
That's right.
Mouthing off.
No, I said from the get-go I needed to be the Frank and Jill Show because you're the real draw. Everybody knows who you are.
Sure.
It was the who's that? Wait, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, well, that's certainly changed as you've dominated the show for months now.
I think it may be the Jill Show with Frank.
Yeah. That's what I overheard that conversation in Dorsey's office and her stomping on the you're making a career decision, Dorsey.
That's right.
You better do this.
Yeah, I know that tracks. I mean, I really did. I threw stuff. There was the famous throwing of the typewriter incident when I demanded, and my demands were not met. No, but Connor and Frank, we are just a few days away, less than a week, I think, of the November 4th 1-year anniversary of the Frank and Jill Show. Can you believe it is
November
almost
4th?
Been a year?
That's a Tuesday. Yes. All right.
I know. Kind of hard to believe that.
Does Mr. Dorsey usually give out big bonuses?
I think so. I mean, I think it's nothing but big bonuses all the time. So let's start thinking about what we want. Yeah. Trip to Hawaii and $100,000 in the bank account. You tell us, Connor. You've been here a lot longer than us.
They've got the painters here. Maybe you could get them to paint the office a different color.
Oh, Frank's never in that office because he's working too hard doing other stuff. He is actually.
But you are in the office.
I'm in the office every morning. Right, I am.
What now is on the painting thing? It's just a different shade. Or?
I don't really know what they're doing, but they're doing the conference room.
Okay.
They're tearing down the wallpaper, I think is what it was.
Yeah, and they're painting too. It's just it's kind of a dull gray. And that gray look is kind of, I think, moving out trend wise, which I'm not sad to see it go. I'm sorry if any of you are listening painted your whole house gray when that trend was really hot a number of years ago, but
I don't think they painted that shade that long ago because I was still here. So it was like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, it just needs to kind of freshen it up.
Monique just had a painter over to do the bedroom and some other rooms, and I hardly noticed. I go, it's the same color. She goes, well, it had to be freshened up.
That's true. I have to say. I mean, I'm looking. We have mostly brick in, because we're in a very old house on our walls, but the parts that are painted, we had it repainted before we moved in 7 years ago. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know what we're doing in this house, but they got pretty darn scuffed up, and they just look a little, even cleaning the baseboards and stuff, they just look a little tired.
I just said, I don't mind you painting it, but why don't we go a different color? Let's go all black. She goes, black?
All black?
I'd make the whole house black. I'd make the outside black. I'd make everything black.
Are there a lot of
black
say
rooms,
more
about this,
interior
please.
rooms?
It's just an Italian thing. There's a house on Spady Road that is like black this looks like it's out of Tuscany. It is like the coolest house.
Okay, so you like a dark bold.
Yes.
It's not necessarily. Is it really black? Honestly, is the color you like,
well,
or just something
it's
that's
black
very
and
bold?
khaki, but it's got a black in it, which is kind of unique for the outside of a house.
Okay, I did not realize
They
that
don't
was
paint the inside of the house.
on a scale of 1 to 10. Rate your interior and exterior design skills for me, just so I have an idea.
0. Yes.
Because you're a fashionable guy, you know about clothes, and sometimes those two things are connected. People
They're
that are
not with
good,
me,
not
yeah.
at all. You're not good. So
The only part of the house I got like downstairs where we got kind of like a bigger screen, and I got that at least red, so it kind of looks like a movie theater.
Okay, so what I guess we should have gotten we got the answer we needed a little bit earlier when you said Monique is having the house painted, and she didn't mention to you at all to weigh in on the color scheme.
Oh no, yeah, I have no power at all.
Okay.
By the way, somebody texting in a very good text. F comes before J.
Yeah, good
work
thought.
there. 314.
So it's alphabetical.
That's right.
Yep, very, very, very well said. Hey, and thanks.
Is the painting contractor Gray is out. Okay.
Yeah. And from the 618, thank you so much for pointing out. We should have mentioned it earlier in the show. Dr. Rick is in Asia, but he's coming back, I believe, tomorrow. And so he is going to join us on Thursday. I said, are you sure you're going to feel like it? And he said, of course. And by the way, the whole time he's been on vacation, he's been sending us really compelling articles and good stuff for us to talk about tomorrow on Thursday. So it's going to be a good conversation. And that guy never stops working, even though he was supposed to be on vacation.
And supposed to be retired. And he came out of retirement. Now he's working more than he ever did.
I know you're not the hugest country music fan in the world. I would say I'm a medium country music fan, but I've always really liked Kenny Chesney. I think he's an interesting guy, and he has come out with a new book. And I found his interview this weekend on CBS Sunday Morning pretty compelling when he talked about why he's writing a book now. So I think that's a really kind of wise thing to come to is there comes a time in life when we're sort of grinding and doing, and then there comes a time when we get a little more introspective and decide that we need to think about who we are and why we are and what we're all about. He talked in the interview a lot about his family and the influence they had on him as well, and he's going to write about that and just about kind of what drives his creative process. So I don't know that I'll actually read the book, but I did really enjoy the interview.
Yeah, I did not see it, but I've always been impressed with him, and he's I know he's a big Tennessee football fan. He seems like a pretty cool dude. I think he holds the record for shortest marriage of all time.
Yeah, the Renee Zellweger thing, it was
4
funny.
months.
And he's talked about
I guess
that.
people have been on shorter than that.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about that in the past, just like, sometimes things, it's funny how often in the world of fandom, people remember the stuff that didn't work out far more than they do remember the stuff that did work out in your life. He also he just seems to, he's one of those performers that I think country, maybe I'm stereotyping, you tell me if this is wrong. It feels to me like a lot of country performers appreciate their audience and get that the audience is what drives the success they have and allows them to do what they do and feels gratitude toward them in a way that you don't hear from sometimes some of the bratty or older time rockers through the years who talk about how it's a grind and they don't like to be on tour and it's too much. I kind of respect that. If it feels authentic to me. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, I think you nailed it. By the way, shortest is Jason Alexander, not George Costanza, and Britney Spears, marriage for 55 hours. Nicolas Cage and Erica Koike went for 4 days. Eddie Murphy had a 14-day marriage. That's pretty good. Drew Barrymore had a 39-day marriage. The Kardashians would have to be in the equation here. Kim was married to a basketball player, Chris Humphries, for 72 days. Lisa Marie and Nicolas Cage, they went 107. That would be.
I forgot.
Nick Cage on there a couple times.
Yeah. Colin Farrell had a 121-day marriage. Pam Anderson and Kid Rock, 122. Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Esposito, 122 also. Oh. And then Kenny Chesney, Renee Zellweger, rounding out the top 10 at 128 days.
Wow. I guess I'm I'm curious, now that you've brought up Nicolas Cage and his 2 short marriages, is that because he changes his mind quickly, or there's people are drawn to the persona and there's a different experience of living with him as a spouse?
I think I lean towards the latter.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but it's just a thought to ponder. One of my favorite things about Kenny Chesney is this song. I know some people think it's a little simple, but in this world we live in where all we're doing is talking about my side beating your side and winners and losers, I think every once in a while it's good to just kind of come back to this message. Don't you like that
That
song?
is good, yeah.
I did too. See, he said paint a wall. See? So you guys are painting a
Exactly.
wall. We're painting a wall here. We're just following some good life advice for getting along with each other.
I told Monique, why do we have to paint the walls? Because all you do is hang plates over the walls.
Yeah, okay, this is cool.
How did that work out?
Not well.
Did you win the argument?
We went to a place the other night, and she says, look, they're hanging plates too. I go, congrats.
How so she doesn't like the new progressive commercial where the person's like making fun of it by hanging plates on the wall?
That's right. They do make fun of it.
I'm a plate hanger too, so no room for me to talk there. From the 314, I'm redoing my house after removing a wall, and black baseboards are replacing the old wood tone baseboards and trim, and I'm putting in a glass partition in place of a previous wall partition, and it is black metal.
That sounds really cool. Send us a picture. Yeah, that's great.
I don't know that
Pictures don't come
I know,
across
that
the
would be
text line, but you
fun.
could email or on the social media.
Yeah, for sure. Post it on social media. We would love to see it, but that's a very good idea. How many times have you painted rooms in your house?
Myself personally, I think that would be less than one.
So never. Not even one time?
Yeah.
We've painted a lot. John's a very good painter. Like, he doesn't even have to tape off. He's really good at it, and he did it as a job, and he's super handy in general, and we both like to save money. I'm such a terrible painter that once I had a tiny little bathroom. We're getting ready to sell a house, and he said, all you have to do is just paint the top part above the tile in the bathroom. It just needs to be painted white. Make sure you don't get any on the ceiling because they're 2 different shades of white, and then I'm going to have to repaint the ceiling. And I taped that thing off. I was so careful, and he comes home, and he was like, Did you drop the thing of paint? How did you get that much paint on the tiny bathroom ceiling when all you had to do was this strip around the top of it? I said, I don't know how it happened. It was like I'm a terrible painter. I still do it every once in a while, but usually he just assigns me the middle of the wall, and we certainly have to tarp up because I can't be trusted. Okay, we got lots more coming up in the show, but first I want to remind you guys, Capital Advisory Group, Jeff Zufall, our friend, he's so good at helping individual people like you and me who want to have the retirement that we know we can live the life we want to live and sustain, hopefully, a long and healthy life to do the things that make life meaningful and important for all of us. But you may not realize that he is really, really good at helping and advising and supporting small business owners as well. And what we see happen all the time is small business owners, they might start with the bookkeeper, part-time bookkeeper who kind of helps them, take care of things like payroll. And what they're missing out on is there's a lot of stuff in tax law designed to support small business owners, and they don't understand how the tax laws can support their businesses. And you may be overpaying on your taxes if you are using somebody who's just taking the simplest IRS forms, checking off the boxes, and filing your taxes that way. It's worth setting up a time to meet with Jeff and his team at Capital Advisory Group to get a close look at your books, find out where your profitability is, and make sure that you are not overpaying on your taxes. We've heard from small business owners that said Jeff ended up being able to refile taxes and put money back in their pocket. CapitalAdvisoryGRP.com, 636-394-5524.
Dalco Home Remodeling has been helping St. Louis homeowners for over 50 years. And Dalco's roofing system goes beyond just shingles. You see, for 50 years, Dalco understands that a roofing system offers roofing components and layers designed with a comprehensive protection for your biggest investment, your home. So, any issues with your roof? For 50-plus years, St. Louisans have been going to Dalco for all of your roofing needs. DalcoHomeRemodeling.com. That's DalcoHomeRemodeling.com.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you. BishopsPost.com.
Early detection is crucial in the fight against breast cancer. Surprisingly, even in women of average risk, abnormalities can be found. So even if you don't think you are at risk, screening is essential to prevention and saving lives. The Show Me Healthy Women program offers free breast and cervical cancer screenings to women ages 21 through 64 free of charge if you qualify. Please visit our website at health.mo.gov/showmehealthywomen or call toll-free 866-726-9926 for more information and to see if you qualify.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement, and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time, and you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau, see what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with, and also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
Country Club Car Wash is the best car wash in town. How do I know? I have an unlimited monthly pass to Country Club Car Wash, and it's fantastic. They're touchless, and you get free vacuums at select locations. Each and every day on the morning show, we will be giving away one free Country Club Car Wash to the text of the day. And each week, we'll be giving away a grand prize, 1 month of free Country Club Car Washes to the text of the week. We'll see you on the show, and we'll see you at Country Club Car Wash, cccwstl.com.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
You've heard so many people talk about Innsbrook. Now it's time to see for yourself. 7,500 acres, 100-plus lakes, on-site restaurants, an 18-hole championship golf course for you to go play by yourself, with some friends, or maybe even a charity event, nature trails, event spaces, and so much more. Innsbrook is 45 minutes from St. Louis. It's so close, and yet you feel so far away. Go see Innsbrook for yourself. Innsbrook-resort.com.
So we were discussing the shortest marriages on the Kenny Chesney topic, and it gets me to my thought about Jennifer Lopez and Halle Berry, who I think just are so similar in so many ways. So Halle Berry checks in at age 59 with 3 divorces and worth $90 million. Jennifer Lopez checks in at 56 with 4 divorces and worth $400 million. 2 extremely talented women who probably have been a little unlucky in love, but have done well in their profession.
Do you have a favorite between those two?
Well, Halle Berry is one of the all-time greats. Yeah.
Just in terms of both her acting abilities, and she's
Yes.
one of the most stunning, physically, I think, human beings that was ever
It's unbelievable.
born on
She's
the earth.
59.
Yeah, but even,
And-
I mean, her whole life, she's just, I remember from the first time I saw her, I was like, how could one human be that perfect looking? I think.
Well, she's also a talented actor, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't exactly say Jennifer Lopez is the best actor in the world.
No, but she has kind of capitalized on the genre that she hasn't ever really, maybe I've never seen her stretch too far in that, because she does pretty well in the genre for which she acts in, which is often kind of that mainstream popular movie, big ticket sales. So it's a good way to make a living if you can do it.
Did you see Angel Eyes?
No.
No. The Cell was pretty good. The Wedding Planner was fun.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking of, and is just this kind of it's good, it's fine, it's good enough. So 4 divorces and then 1 high profile breakup the first time she and Ben were engaged, but that doesn't count as a divorce, does it?
No, but later that went into the column also. She married and divorced him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he divorced her, or whatever.
Yeah, so either she's very difficult to be married to, or she's pretty bad at picking people that she can stay married to. So, or maybe a little bit of both. Something that I think is, I just had a great conversation with a dear friend yesterday. Unfortunately, she lost her dad earlier this fall, and that's really tough. And her mom is in assisted living. And I know one of the things that we hear from people who live at McKnight Place Assisted Living or any of the Gatesworth properties, including the Gatesworth, McKnight Place, and Park Provence. One of the things that kids like me who are in our 50s or 60s, who have parents that are aging, and maybe those parents have been left alone because of the death of a spouse, having the built-in community of living in a community is absolutely integral to thriving in this season of life. You know, all kinds of aging experts tell us, from Vivek Murthy to all kinds of others who have studied this deeply, that having a sense of friendship, community, connection, things to do with other people is one of the biggest factors in reporting whether people have a longer health span, which isn't just about how long you're living, but how long you are thriving in your life. And that's one of the things they just foster so beautifully at McKnight Place. If you are looking for community connection, or you know somebody in your life that really needs that and it's time for them to make a move, reach out today, mcknightplace.com, make an appointment to do your tour, 314-993-3333.
You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit cantorinjurylaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
Reese Nichols, the most trusted Missouri brokerage, is now proudly serving St. Louis. They're going to be celebrating with a ribbon cutting and a grand opening at their Chesterfield office on Wednesday, November 5th from 3 to 6. And the afternoon show, the Big 550 KTRS, will be there for the party. Reese Nichols is a Missouri-born company established 125 years ago and is proudly serving St. Louis buyers and St. Louis sellers with everything they need, including title and insurance, to make your move seamless. To learn more, ReeseNichols.com.
Have some fun with your friends while eating great food. Of course, I'm talking about the Village Bar, the only place to watch the big game while eating the world's best cheeseburger. There's a reason people have made this their favorite hangout for decades. The game's on, and so is the grill. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
Royal Banks of Missouri invites you to the 2025 Economic Forecast Breakfast, Tuesday, November 18th at the Factory in Chesterfield. Hear from local experts, Ron Amlin of St. Louis Small Business Monthly, Dr. William Emmons, retired economist, and many more on current market conditions and what lies ahead for the U.S. economy in 2026 and beyond. For more info and to RSVP, visit royalbanksofmo.com. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Hey, it's Heidi Glaus, and I want to remind you to tune in to the Heidi Glaus Show with Bob Ramsey and Josh Gilbert weekdays from 3 to 6. You don't want to miss all the fun. Plus, twice a month, we're joined by Dr. Ravi Johar, the Chief Medical Officer for United Healthcare. Dr. Johar and United Healthcare will keep us informed and educated about everything happening in the healthcare system, plus important facts to keep us healthy. United Healthcare and the Heidi Glaus Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
Yeah, they're on the med, and these medications are used, these GLP-1s, for reducing inflammation in your body. I get so many folks that are like, wow, I don't have the knee pain. I don't have the...
Because once you start losing weight, all these other things naturally happen to you in a positive way. Not just talk about the deals for KTRS listeners at stlmedweightloss.com.
All KTRS listeners, they get $50 to $100 off their first month. And what's beautiful about it, too, hey, I get it. The economy, what we just had, guys, things are difficult right now, but we make the plan work for you. We have financing options. We make this work for you because we realize how important it is to get down in your weight, get your confidence back, and really start feeling like the old you.
Call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
I'm Bob Hardcastle. Listen to my Money Talk radio program every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. on the Big 550, where we discuss your money in an easy-to-understand manner. We have interesting guests, chat about money. We try to help you feel more comfortable with your money by talking about the investment market. Join me. I'm Bob Hardcastle.
Money Talk, Sunday morning at 8 on the Big 550 KTRS.
Wow, this show just really flew.
Didn't it? It's because we had some smart people on here who had some interesting things to say and great listeners who took their time to join in the conversation, which always makes it very fun.
You didn't even read the text talking about how people are hanging up their plates.
That's right.
I know we had a lot of those.
Read the one what the guy said.
He said, I always wonder how a woman would feel if guys hung tools on the wall of the house. Okay, tools and plates are two different things. I mean, I
assume the plates are a little more decorative.
They are a little more decorative. A lot of times there's a lot of family history. I'm on team hang the plates. I think it's very, very fun. Somebody is telling me the key to cutting while painting with a brush, you have to have a Purdy brand hand brush with an angle cut, and that's going to solve the problem for me.
It's all about the brush. Has really
yes,
been the
thank you so much for your
brand.
For your belief in me. Also, you need something called manual dexterity, and you need to have the ability to have hand-eye coordination that is better than that of a kindergartner.
This
and
is like
I do
blaming
not
the
have
racket
that.
when you miss-hit a ball.
I know,
ace
but
paddle if you're playing paddle.
I love this. I really do. I want to believe that you're right. I've often tried to just improve my equipment and think I could get better at things that required hand-eye coordination or required manual dexterity, but so far has not worked. But hey, I'm only 57, so things could change. This could be my year to learn how to be good at that stuff.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the program. Coming up next, John Carney and Julie Buck. We'll take a break and we'll be back in 22 hours.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Okay, all signed up. Easy. Now let's run payroll. What the? Hey girl, I'm you with more gusto. Nice. Who's that? New social media manager, hired and onboarded with gusto. And spoiler, we're kind of famous now. Wait, we're famous? Oh, well, I'm famous. Payroll, benefits, and HR. Designed and built for small businesses. Choose a future with gusto.
As a fan, you know all the important sports cliches. And when you save money by bundling your home and auto with Progressive, you can get out there and give it 110%, even though that's mathematically impossible. And remember, failure is not an option. Well, it's always an option, just not a good one. But you're not worried because you've got ice in your veins. You're on fire. How can both of those things be true at the same time? Well, that's between you and your doctor. So get out there and leave it all on the field. Leave what? Who cares? Just leave it and save with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different.
Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
The Big 550, KTRS. St. Louis Talk.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in further jeopardy of holding. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordering his military to carry out powerful strikes in Gaza. Israel accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire for failing to return all deceased hostages. ABC's Patrick Reevell has more.
It follows a meeting that he had called to discuss growing frustration from Israel over what it believes are repeated violations of the ceasefire. And the context is this frustration and controversy around the return of the remains of deceased hostages. Overnight, Israel has accused Hamas of trying to basically pretend to return the bodies of one of the hostages.
There are also concerns Hamas is not willing to disarm. That's just phase 2 of the U.S. peace plan. The government shutdown heading into a 5th week, the Senate failing again today in a vote to end the shutdown. The pain reaching Americans with critical funding for federal food programs to run out in a matter of days. And nearly
Three, two, one. Welcome back to the Control Option Press Box on the Big 550 KTRS. On Tuesdays, we talk NFL with our man Howard Balzer. H, great to be with you. How are you?
Doing well, Frank. Hope you are too.
Got a lot to talk about today. You know, H, every year at this time, or almost every year, we have some running back